we called it AI, but it wasn't AI. It was audio response technology.
Hmm.
When we would cold call, because one of the businesses that I own is a real estate firm, and the technology was where you had pre-recorded messages and you used key functions to be able to respond, right? 6 months when that first came out, it took 5 years to be able to have an artificial intelligence come out, and that wave all started from a company that went bankrupt for ripping people off called Air AI. They're the ones that put it on the map.
And then you're gonna end up getting a bunch of the sales calls because they were able to reverse engineer
Yeah,
your AI.
the AI calling the AI, they're gonna talk to each other. You know what I mean? That's so
Yes.
funny, but I mean that could be a reality. But I'm sure somebody, there's smart people in the world. They'll figure it out.
Well, I think that's a. I would rather have AI take my phone calls. I'm a customer for that. I think if like any engineers that are listening to us, if you're looking for an idea, here's an idea.
In real estate, they buy and sell real estate. Those guys are doing about 5 to 10,000 calls a day, but they got massive teams. They're acquiring property all over the country. I mean, they're just, if they could steal it, they'll buy it. And they're just looking for that one person that has to sell at a cheap price.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode. Today we have Oscar Vasquez, who is an estate doc, founder of the Estate Doc Prep, a service dedicated to simplify estate planning. He has over 23 years in real estate industry, engaging in MLS listings in Fillmore, California. He brings a wealth of knowledge in estate planning, and really, what triggered our interest in bringing him on is to talk about some of these places where estate planning can be disrupted by AI agents, and to hear some of his ideas for these use cases, and to just talk about his vision for in this area as well. Hi, Oscar. I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to bring some information on how I use AI in in probably all of my businesses. Um so I'm excited to bring some type of value and kind of clear up a lot of that curiosity, or bring some type of value.
Sounds good to me. So please tell me a little bit about Estate Doc Prep. What do you do, and about your
Sure.
business?
What we do is we are a software company that helps people protect their assets in the United States. What I mean
Mm.
by protect your assets, it protects it from the government deciding to what happens to your assets when you die. So what happens in the United States and in every state of the land, if you have a certain amount of assets, in other words, if you become a homeowner, the government decides on what happens to your home and your bank accounts if they exceed, for example, in California it's 184,000, in Utah it's 100,000, and in Colorado it's $60,000. So if you have an excess value of an estate that exceeds that, the government gets involved and it's called probate, and the government decides what happens to your assets. And so that's the first plan, and the other option is for you to create an estate plan which becomes private, and that helps you decide to make sure that your beneficiaries or your heirs gets your assets, including any digital assets or any kind of anything of value.
Interesting. And how do people handle it now? Like, what is the process that people go through, like, normally without any kind of automation or AI? What do they do? How do they protect themselves?
Well, we don't use AI to draw up the documents because they have to be, the documents are already drawn. They're estate planning attorney written documents. How we use AI? in the state doc prep is we use it in four ways. We use it for outreach, as far as be able to find referral partners. So when we have a referral program from real estate agents, life insurance agents, tax preparers, CPAs, and financial planners. So the AI calls them and sets an appointment and tells them about the program. That's one way on how we use AI in at estate doc prep. The second way, it takes incoming calls. It takes incoming calls, and it's a 24-hour receptionist that is a voice AI that knows everything about estate planning. And it
Mm.
asks questions, and then it closes for an appointment, and then it closes, and then, or it asks if you want to be transferred. If you want to be transferred, those and in estate, excuse me, yeah, weather in California is crazy right now. It got high winds and fires and everything. So um that's the first and that's the second way on how we use AI. And also we use AI. We use it to confirm webinars, and
Mm.
we use it to confirm appointments. We use it to confirm. We use the text AI, and we also use a voice AI to confirm the appointments, which is voice AI in the estate.prep.com company.
So, and are these like, is this your technology, or are you using some sort of third-party services
No,
for that?
we white label the technology, because we one of the things that we do is we have a one of the companies that we have is a white label software company from GHL. It's not the GHL AI, so I don't think it's there yet to have an actual conversation. So it's a white labeled service.
Right, right. And so you're just using AI for your to automate your operations, right? Or is the automation of operations what you're selling?
No.
So,
Estate Doc Prep is a software company that helps people protect their assets. We have another company. We have another company that is an agency that helps people prospect. So it's mostly for lead generation, speed to lead. So what it does is, when you get a Facebook lead, it'll call it. With it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. If they're in, they'll call it within 3 minutes. Period. Um, and then it books and it pre-qualifies them, and it either pre-qualifies them or puts them on your calendar. So that's a
right,
lead generation service, but we use it for lead. So we use it for customer service. We use it for lead generation. We use it for lead nurturing. We use it for lead follow up. We use it for um, awareness. So we use it for outreach. Those are the some of the main topics that we use it in our business.
right, right. And but you prepare all the legal information manually, and you just use AI to
No, we use
qualify
a temp.
people.
Yeah, that is correct. We use AI to give information at the estate doc prep. We have a I'll give you. Well, I mean, I don't want to run up my minutes, but we have an incoming call at Estate Doc Prep. You can call the number at the website, and the website will give you instructions, and you can have a conversation with artificial intelligence, anything about any law, about anything in the states.
Right, right. But you specifically assist people with preparing these.
That is correct. It's called estate planning, and they're called living trust. Is what we do to protect your assets, because 68% of homeowners don't have a living trust, and that means that 68% of homeowners are deciding that the courts are is okay for the court to decide what happens to their assets.
So
So
how much does it cost in general to prepare something like that?
if you generally it costs if you go through an attorney, it's anywhere from 3,500 to $10,000. 3,500 if you go through an attorney. If you use our software, that gives you unlimited updates. Now, let me give you the difference between attorneys and our software. Our software is recognized in 50 states to be able to provide a legal document. So a living trust is a legal document contract between you and your children, your beneficiaries, and its instructions on what happens to you. So it needs to have legal provisions in the contract so the courts recognize it. How we use AI is we use it to be able to say, hey, you haven't completed your thing. Did you have any questions? Is there any questions that we can ask? And then the AI will help us assist them in filling out those documents because it's kind of like a fill in the blank, right? The
Mm.
question and fill in the blank. So the AI actually calls them and does customer service for us as well.
So you're automating the entire process of like intelligence
Yeah,
gathering.
we run a you know a fairly sizable companies with AI being the automation. We took we made everything simplified. So I think the ROI, the investment, was a large investment in the beginning, but it paid for itself in the first 45 days the way we use it.
All right. And where do you see the future of AI agents in the estate planning in general? Like, where is this technology
Who know,
going?
a year and a half ago, we used to use we called it AI, but it wasn't AI. It was audio response technology.
Hmm.
When we would cold call, because one of the businesses that I own is a real estate firm, and the technology was where you had pre-recorded messages and you use key functions to be able to respond. Right, 6 months. When that first came out, it took 5 years to be able to have an artificial intelligence come out, and that wave all started from a company that went bankrupt for ripping people off called Air AI. They're the ones that put it on the map, and the artificial intelligence. So where it's going to be in the next 5 years, I mean, if I will not be surprised if it's going to automate our entire process, as far as the sales process, customer service, and the outreach. Because I mean, we have an AI that can do our AI can do 1,800 calls simultaneously. I mean, it's the limitations of it. It today is according to your budget, right? Is the limitations is to your pocketbook, and right today, your pocketbook and your imagination. So, I mean, right now, in 5 years, I think we're going to have robot AI assistants. I think Elon Musk is, now that he's there, and our president is going to start deporting all of the immigrants. I think that um, the 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 plan is for the government to have subsidy to have robots to start picking our fruit. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows where? I mean, think about it. I mean, Elon's right there next to the president. I mean, I mean, there's got to be. And
Well,
anyway,
yeah, somebody's got to do those jobs, and somebody's got.
well, here's the thing. Well, I mean, look, I mean, he wants to get rid of the immigrants. Those of us that came and started there, but he's going to give them to robots, and it's all it's going to do is repurpose us. Right? We're going to repurpose human beings, just like the tractor did to the farmer. It's going to make him more efficient. He's going to have more time. Now it's just going to question of what else are we going to do? I mean, we have ChatGPT now that writes for us. It automates a lot of clerical tasks. Now we have voice AI that can do customer service. It can do cold calling. Now, I don't think that the cold calling is as efficient or as salesy as a good salesperson yet. But I think in the future, it's going to be pretty hard not to. But I mean, maybe then we're going to have our AI take all of our phone calls.
But like it's
AI
not.
is going to be
It doesn't
talking
get
with
tired,
AI.
right? It doesn't get tired, and it can technically call at scale infinitely. So if you need to call 10,000 people a day, you can call it using real time voice. And it's gonna be, and it doesn't sound bad, and there is no lag.
We yeah, if they're in a quiet area, it's not. It doesn't sound. There's no lag. The lag is when you have background noise because it's trying
Oh
to
yeah.
decide what it is. Um, so we usually try to call landlines or cell phones, and if there's a cell phone and there's background noise, we instruct it to hang up and just kind of go back so it doesn't. Just say, "Hey, I can't hear you. Got a bad connection."
Yeah, actually, that makes sense because I was also thinking of running phone calls at scale. We do like personalized email at scale for one of my companies, and but right now the cold email is so oversaturated that you need to do, I think, phone calls are better. So, can you tell us a bit about your experience with this cold calling with AI and like what has the numbers been and what
Yeah,
is
well,
it?
I can tell you. We have a the list. The connection rate is based on the list.
Hmm.
I can tell you. And in the real estate industry, I cold called for 20 years. Literally cold called, and my numbers were I would have anywhere from 15 to 20 conversations an hour, right? And that would connections and be able to qualify and have a conversation and it would take me about 150 conversations to get a lead that wanted to sell it with
Mm,
the AI. It takes right now. The last numbers that I did was about 250 conversations, and it just that you're catching people at a bad time. We got a lot of foreigners calling right now, so the caller ID is I think is our biggest obstacle, but it takes 250, but at 10 cents or 15 cents a call, it doesn't matter. I mean, it still makes money, right? I mean, who wants to be on the phone for 4 hours a day, 10 days to get an actual listing contract where you can have the AI call 5,000, 10,000 people in a day and get the listing that day.
yeah, yeah. I think the overall benefit outweighs the risk. When we were doing cold calling manually like 2 years ago, I remember we had to always switch numbers because sometimes these numbers would get blacklisted as spam, so you had to find the one that's not, and we would call ourselves from those numbers to see if it shows up as spam or not. If it didn't, then we called other people because otherwise people just see it as spam on their phone
Mhm.
because of the spam blockers. But now that we're going to be doing it at scale, like 10, 20, 30,000 calls a day, there's no regulation right now around that, so that's good. But
Well,
they
the
are being.
regulation is you're not supposed to. The FCC came out last year um, for cold calling in the United States. They put out a rule that said that you can't cold call. But watch, for 20 years, there was a rule that said you couldn't cold call anyways. They came out with a do not call list. They came out with all this other bullshit,
Yes,
but we still do it because we're in the sales. We're in the business. Listen, if you're not prospecting, you're going to be out of business. If you're
yes,
not acquiring, the main purpose of any business is to acquire a customer. Period.
yeah,
It's to acquire a customer. And if you're not acquiring customers, you'll be out of business. Period. So so you need to find that way. Now we're finding the AI doing a wonderful job. Our AI that follows up on Facebook leads has a 6% conversion rate
oh wow,
because versus 3% that we were doing as a human. So because it's digging deep and it's speed to lead.
Because it can hyper personalize at scale. It can look at the person's profile and then say, "Hey, I see you're here, but you're looking to whatever you were trying to sell them." But
Sure.
it can hyper personalize at scale, and then it
Yeah,
can have yeah.
I would say that. And then you can say, hey, you said you wanted this. You said you wanted this house. You wanted this price in this area. Now, how long have you been looking? Are you currently looking with a real estate? Are you currently working with a real estate agent? Um, what is your time frame? Do you have to sell something? I mean, it has a 3 to 5 minute conversation, and it doesn't. And we programmed that one not to give up. So we say we prefer they hang up than book an appointment for call me call me back. We say yeah, you know what, we certainly appreciate that. I can appreciate that. We'll definitely call you back. What's a better time? And by the way, and then we just go straight into the process. We use that for life insurance,
Mm,
as well for final expense.
Interesting. So, how many cold calls a day are you currently making?
In the real estate company, we're doing about 1,000, 1,000 calls. But I have, excuse me, I have customers that are wholesalers in real estate. They buy and sell real estate. Those guys are doing about 5 to 10,000 calls a day, but they got massive teams. They're acquiring property all over the country. I mean, they're just, if they could steal it, they'll buy it. And they're just looking for that one person that has to sell at a cheap price so they can make a profit. I mean, they're averaging $25 to $30,000 per flip, averaging. Now
Mm.
that means so they can afford a 10,000 conversation AI bot to have that conversation at scale.
10,000 conversations. So you need to have how many phone numbers for that? 1,000? No, no, 200.
No, for the 10,000, their database has 450,000 confirmed homeowners
Mm.
that they're dialing, because they're only contact the you only get about 25% connection rate, because they're just not, people aren't picking up as much.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
since the
AI. It doesn't
scale,
matter.
yeah,
You only get
doesn't matter.
charged. You only get charged when it talks. So no, I mean, think
It's
about
true. It's
that.
true.
If you have a human cold caller, if you have a human cold caller calling, they're on the phone. You pay them for the hour, and if they only have 10, 12, 15 conversations, and each conversation is 30 seconds or a minute, you're paying them for 15 minutes. The other 40, they're working, or they're producing a revenue or an opportunity in a quarter on 25% of the time. The AI only charges you when you have a conversation. That means you're getting 100% of your efficiency. So when you have a human, you're operating at a 25% efficiency. With an AI, you're operating at 100%, because you're only paying when you're having a conversation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And since not everybody is doing it right now, lots of people are, but it's still not like super mainstream. You have maybe a year until this becomes like completely unusable, right? Like I remember back in the day we had LinkedIn, and LinkedIn was great, and you can get opportunities on LinkedIn very easily. Like 3 to 4 years ago, now it's super hard to get because everybody is using it. So the more people will start to use it, the more this will. But or do you think it will kind of even out? Because
I who knows? I mean, I think that our phones are going to have artificial intelligence in the future. It's possible where it's going to take our incoming calls. We're going to program it, and it's going to take our incoming calls, and it's going to we're going to say, this is what we want, this is what we have interest in, and transfer me only the calls that are super important, because it's going we're going to become more efficient. I think that AI is going to revolutionize our sales process. And I mean, think about it. everybody has 24 hours in a day. It's what you do in those 24 hours that makes or breaks your business.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing non-income generating activities, then you're that's what you're doing, right? Non-income generating activities. So you need to focus on things that generate income. And that's what I think the AI is a possibility. I mean, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe we should start creating the app. Take my
Well,
incoming calls, fill out your
if
profile, and who do you
there
want
we
to
go.
talk to and who don't you want to talk to?
Yeah, but then you're gonna have a bunch of guys trying to hack your AI and convince it to take a call, and then you're gonna end up getting a bunch of the sales calls booked because they were able to reverse engineer
Yeah,
your AI.
the AI calling the AI. They're going to talk to each other. You know what I mean? It's so
Yes.
funny, but I mean that could be a reality. But I'm sure somebody, there's smart people in the world. They'll figure it out.
Well, I think that's a. I would rather have AI take my phone calls. I'm a customer for that. I think if like any engineers that are listening to us, if you're looking for an idea, here's an idea. Just have an AI in an app that takes my phone call on my iPhone and decides whether or not it's a good fit for me or not. And then I just say yay or nay after that.
Yeah,
Because I just don't pick up my phone anymore because a lot of idiots are calling me, somebody else is calling me, some scammers are calling me. I just don't have time to deal with it. So most of my work is on Zoom and like Google, but we do IT stuff, right? In your case, you have to be on call all the time and you have to answer your phone, and you end up a lot of talking to a lot of people who you don't want to talk to.
sure. It is what it is. That's the world we're in today, and who knows where we're going to end up in the next couple of years. I'll be honest with you. I'm curious to see. I mean, wow, it's amazing. You know.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Because think about it, like as you were saying, imagine this thing. It has access to a lot of your personal data and your business data. So somebody calls to you, like a client calls you back, and it picks it up and it has a conversation with them, and it's sort of like an incoming calling AI, and it knows all the information about your business that's allowed, not allowed to give. So you don't need to have these conversations anymore. These people, the AI
Well,
can help.
we have that customer service AI right
Yes,
now. I mean, dude,
yes,
it's taken in 20. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you Felipe.
that's okay. That's right.
Sorry about that. Um, we're getting about 25 to 40 calls a day right now. All the ads, the marketing, and where we're at, and it's converting anywhere from 10 to 15% into appointments. The most of the people want to just have a conversation and get educated, and they're just not ready to protect their family yet, or they
Mhm.
don't have it there.
No, that's the key. So it really expands your reach. So yeah, I mean, there is a
Great.
lot of things that are moving in this space, and thank you so much for joining, Oscar. Do you
Yeah, I want to give out. I brought a couple gifts that I like to give out. One gift is I like to give out. If you own a home, you live in the United States, you need to get this free comprehensive guide on how to protect your assets from the government, so you don't have to go to court. So you can go to estateDocPrep.com/guide, and you can download a free guide, right?
Mm.
The AI is not going to call you, and if you want to talk to the AI, I know in this podcast it's gonna blow up, but you guys can see how comprehensive. Get a free demo. Check it out. 805-909-4689. 805-909-4689, and that is the customer service AI on how you could have a conversation and how it's used for customer service. Check it out. And the last gift that I like to give, if you are a home, I know we didn't talk too much about estate planning, mostly about AI, but I can tell you this: if you own a home, you need a living trust. If you don't, the government's going to decide what happens to your home. So don't allow that to happen. And for anybody that's out there that listens to this podcast, you can go to our checkout page at estate.prep.com forward slash checkout, or go to where to buy. check out using AI agents as a discount code. And for the first 10 customers, we're going to give you $1,000 off just for listening to this podcast.
Awesome. I think this is great, and I like the way this conversation has turned out for us. I really like this space, especially for small business owners and how they scale with AI, because this is where all of it is going now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you're not involved in AI and your competition is, they're gonna put you out. It's like, we always tell people in the real estate business, if you're not acquiring customers, if you're not having conversations every day, you're gonna be out of business. And I think that if you're not using AI and get with the times and change with it, Blockbuster was once one of the biggest conglomerates in the world.
I used to
They're
love
no longer
Blockbuster.
here because they did
Yes,
not change with the times. Think about that. So I can leave you with that.
perfect. And that was Oscar Vasquez, estatedoccrap.com. Feel free to go to the site and fill out the comprehensive guide to estate planning. Thank you so much, Oscar.